Are you feeling unmotivated at work? Well, we might help you understand the reason why. But before we get too far into it, hi, my name's Dr. Kylie Bragdon,
And I'm Rebecca Bragdon.
and this is Unmute, where we turn up the volume on modern leadership. So, I have a crazy question. I'm going to just throw it out here and see if you guys can get it. I'm just going to dive in today. So, I found a study, a really interesting study about careers. Okay. Careers, more specifically, dream careers, dream jobs. Now, we all have a dream job. I think when I was a kid, I wanted to be everything from a doctor to a lawyer to an elephant specialist. I mean, everything. Did you have a dream job?
I had a million dream jobs. I was going to be a teacher. I was going to be a plastic surgeon. I was going to be a fashion designer.
Yeah, and
All of
I think
it.
all of that's really normal when we're kids. You know, we start to learn a little bit more about ourselves, about other topics. We kind of are able to narrow our focus. But the funny thing about dream jobs is there's a study on them, and I found that there is a similarity between the great country of Canada, we love Canada, and India.
What?
They have the same dream job. The majority of the population has the same dream job. And I want to know
What?
if you guys can guess it.
Canada and India.
Canada and India. Now, you think dream jobs, a lot of people are going to obviously guess this: a doctor, a lawyer, you know,
Yeah.
a pilot.
More like
pilots.
hero type-esque.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the
Firefighters.
firefighters, that's a big one internationally. I think number one internationally, majority-wise, pilot is the number one dream job,
Pilot.
which I found
Travel
very
the
interesting.
world.
Travel the world, right?
Yes.
But dream job, what is the similar, most highly sought after profession in Canada and India?
Is it like entrepreneur?
Nope.
I'm never going to get
You're never going to guess it? Are you ready? Drum roll, please. DJ. I can't make this stuff up. I cannot make this
What?
stuff. There's an actual study.
Like a DJ.
Like, chicka, chicka. Yeah, that's a sound clip if I've ever seen it. Yes, a DJ is the most
Okay.
sought after profession in India and Canada.
Wow.
I thought that was really entertaining. On the flip side of this really interesting study, like I said, pilot was the most sought after
Yeah, that makes
profession.
sense.
But like you said, kind of like hero professions, doctors, nurses, firefighters, things like that. Exciting jobs.
They are romanticized, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to be a CPA. No offense to the CPAs out there.
Our child does.
I mean, our kid definitely does, but that's a different conversation.
Different conversation.
So the other really interesting part of the study that I found is the number of people that were actually working in their dream job. Now, I'm very lucky. I get to say, like, I do my dream every single day. I help organizations and help people every single day with leadership development. That's what I do, and I love it. And I'm so thankful that I get to live my dream. I would say that in many capacities. Do you feel like you're living?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that my dream job has morphed into it is what you make it.
It is what you make it.
It is what you make it. And I think that I have stumbled into different industries along the way. And now where I am, yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really happy.
Okay.
And I feel really good and productive and like I'm making a difference.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious, viewers, please let us know in the comments. Are you in your dream job? And if so, what is that dream job? But let's talk about the big pull away from this research. What proportion of people do you think are in their dream job currently?
I imagine it's quite low.
Yeah.
Like I would say I would say it's under 15%. That would be my guess.
That was a really strong answer. I hope that you guys guessed. But it's 9.
Oh, wow.
9% of the global population has been found to be working in their dream job.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm going to bring this all back really quickly. We started this episode by saying, why aren't you motivated at work? Well, we might have the answer why. So you cannot tell me that there is a coincidence that only 9% of people are in their dream job. And do you want to guess? A different study found the number of people who are engaged are naturally motivated by their work.
Oh, gosh.
What percentage of people are motivated in their work?
I mean, is it similar? It's got to be around the same, right?
Close.
Because if you find purpose, right, then you would be motivated. But hit me with it.
15%, which is a little bit higher. This speaks to maybe some people who are not living their dream job. They are finding some excitement. They're motivated. They're engaged with the work they're doing because maybe they really like it. But you can't tell me that there's not something here to kind of talk about. So, I mean, let's break this down for a moment.
Yeah.
If you yourself are in a position where you're feeling like, ugh, this is not what I imagined for myself, and are also at the same time concerned with your productivity, your ability to get tasks done, your willingness to go to work, maybe it's a good time to like take a big old step back and consider,
reevaluating.
Is this really the path that I want to stay on? Now, how does this kind of involve leadership? Well, when you're when you're a leader, I know personally, I was in a few positions where I thought that it was going to be a good fit. I thought that it was something that I really wanted to do, but very quickly realized like,
pump the brakes.
No, that is not for me. That is not for me. And pivoting to find a career or a dream that was more aligned to who I was, all of a sudden, just like that, I was much more willing to initiate and task. I was much more willing to move forward with, I think, different opportunities that were coming my way because I changed my circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have anything, thinking about the whole motivation and dream job world?
Yeah, I think that if you first find out where you want to go, right? I think that then you can create a clear path forward that aligns with that like sense of self.
Right.
And that's the biggest, right? You have to know where you're going in order to get there.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, the idea of transitioning to a different profession, we've both done it. We've both had a lot of different
multiple times
versions of ourselves professionally. But the number one reason why people don't transition, and it's 60% of the time, the reason why. You want to guess what it is?
I mean, fear of failure?
Nope. That's
really?
Actually not.
Okay.
Nope. Money.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
And that makes sense. Like,
that makes sense.
We all have responsibilities and we all have financial constraints that might stop us from being able to take that big jump right now. But that doesn't mean that we can't change our practices day to day to improve the circumstances that we are actually in. So instead of thinking about dream jobs and making that big change, what I encourage individuals and also people who are overseeing teams, if you're overseeing teams and or get the idea or feeling that maybe someone's not digging the things they're doing, you don't necessarily have to snap your fingers and change the job.
No.
But you can create some dream tasks.
Absolutely.
So getting to know what people like to do or what people are interested in or what people thrive at and trying to align that workload to better fit the dream task. I mean, I know personally, I've had to do some tasks that aren't my favorite. Aren't my favorite. Currently, even though I'm in my dream job, there are some tasks that
you just don't enjoy them.
Not my favorite. But I'm able to create this balance between the tasks that I do like and don't like in order to, I think, move myself forward a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think that when you start practicing that like self-care, knowing who you are, knowing what you thrive in, what drives you, right? Like what gives you purpose, then you can actually take a look and go, hey, this task that I do, if I did it this way, I'd actually get a lot more out of it.
Right.
And you're right. It's not about making the big jump, to your big dream job. And if you want to do that, great. All the power to you, right? All the power to you. But I think that whether it's taking a course, right, outside of what you are doing, or maybe there's a course you could take in your organization right now that would allow you to take on different tasks, right? And maybe upskill. That's a huge thing. Upskill.
Who doesn't love a good upskilling? That sounded way dirtier than I intended it to.
But if you did that right now, that's a small step forward into, bigger picture, whether it's creating a different type of job. Maybe it's making more money, right? Maybe it's actually, pushing you ahead into something different. But I think that would be.
Yeah. So if you're a leader right now and you're maybe noticing one of your employees is not maybe being as motivated or is not being as efficient or productive as you would like, a couple of tips. First, have the conversation, right?
Ask.
Like, hey,
Ask.
hey, are things going? I feel like a lot of our episodes kind of come back to that whole like have the human conversation, have the human
Be vulnerable.
talk. You got to talk to people to know where they're at. But
Yep.
first, you got to talk to them. From there, you got to take what they say and you have to help them make action and take those steps forward. I love that. It is one step. You can't sometimes snap your fingers. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can throw caution to the wind and not worry about money and do that dream of yours. But if not, then that's
the more realistic, I think, view of that. And I think that by taking those tiny little steps, when you are able to put yourself in a position where you go, well, how would I feel after I complete this one thing?
right.
Right? What's the feeling involved? And as leaders, we have to also think of that feeling for ourselves and the people around us.
Yeah. So second, you're going to make sure after talking to people, you're going to make sure that you absolutely help them build a plan and help them move forward. Because though it might not be their dream job right now, maybe through a series of tasks or upskilling, it can become, or maybe eventually they'll be able to transition to something better. In my mind, leadership is really all about supporting people's growth and moving forward. So if ultimately their big dream, if they're Canadian, is to be a DJ, okay.
Maybe there's a work event that they could DJ
Maybe
at.
there's a work event that you could help tap into that. Maybe there are things that you can build into what they do to make their experience a little bit more exciting. So they're a little bit more excited to be working with you.
And I think that, just as a side note, that conversation can't happen at a formal review. It can't have like the process of being a leader right now. We need to actually get rid of these like formal fear-based conversations that people walk in and they're automatically heightened.
Yeah.
This is go have a coffee. Yeah. Right? Or go have lunch and say like, what was your dream job as a kid?
Yeah.
Have the types of conversations that open people up, that don't close them down.
Yes. I think, we really do need to bring back a circumstance in the workplace where it's not just about getting it done, because you can't just get it done. It's more than that. There is a human side to all of this, and making this connection.
There can be a fine balance between friendship and
supervision
and dictator.
Yes. And I believe that's called transformational leadership. I do believe it is.
On that note,
well, guys, as always, if you are not in your dream job or if your employees are not in their dream job, remember, this doesn't have to be a forever. You can take those tiny steps forward. So until next time, everyone, keep on leading your way because the world might just need it.
Bye.